Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. If you're new here, my name is Elena. I'm a homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos. Here on the channel, I have to sneeze. I lost it. Here on the channel, we talk about everything from homeschooling to homemaking, all the things in between. Let's dive into it. I have decided that I'm going to do a little bit of a reading vlog. My library has this really cool option or feature where you can go online and request what they call a book bundle, and the librarian will pick out books for you. I've done this once before, and I enjoyed the books that they picked out. This time I thought I would document it and share with you what the librarian picked out and reading the books and what I think of them. So you requested, I think you can do it in person as well, but I went ahead and I filled out the form online. It asks you a couple questions to get to know your reading. It also asks how many books you're looking for, so you can give them a number of books. You know, you don't want to ask for 10, or you just want one recommendation, whatever. I put 3 to 4 because I thought that might be a good range there. And then any topics you particularly like, any that you are looking to avoid. So I filled that all out, and then I got an email the next day. It was pretty quick. I filled it out in the evening also, and the next day I got an email that there were books checked out under my card. So we're gonna go pick them up right now, and then we'll get started. Okay, I literally just walked out of the library and have my books, and so I thought I'd show you while it was semi-quiet in the car here, because I just snuck out really quickly to grab the book. So let me show you what they picked out. They picked out 4 books for me, and I can tell you what the selections, the adult selections that I picked adult selections, so you could pick either children, teen. I've asked my teen if he wants to do this, but so far he's like, no, I'm good. So I picked general fiction, Christian fiction, science fiction / fantasy. And then again, I requested 3 to 4 books. For the 3 books and authors that I really liked, J.K. Rowling, I wrote the Harry Potter series, Tony Shiloh, In Search of a Prince to Win a Prince, Pepper Basham, Authentically Izzy, and then the Disney Twisted Tales series. So hopefully kind of give them a range. I don't know if that is a good enough range. We'll find out. And then, is there subject matter you'd like us to avoid? I just mentioned anything too heavy or sad or open door romances. And there anything else you'd like us to know? I let them know I mostly read books to escape for a little bit, happier, lighthearted stories, some light fantasy. Just started picking up some more fantasy genre books like the Folk of the Air series, and then a specific theme that you're looking for, something lighthearted, an escape, or lighter fantasy. And then that was it. It also asks, is there something not listed that you're looking for? But I left it blank. So let's see what they picked out for us. 6 for us, because we're going on this adventure together. 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, and it is marked a YA book, a princess in exile, a shape-shifting dragon, 6 enchanted cranes, and an unspeakable curse. It will take more than magic to find their way home. So the only princess of Kiata has a secret. Forbidden magic runs through her veins. Normally she conceals it well, but on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, she loses control. Her mistake seems like a stroke of luck, forestalling the wedding she never wanted, but it also I'm trying to read it really fast. It catches the attention of her stepmom, a sorceress in her own right. The stepmom banishes the young princess, turning her brothers into cranes. So this sounds like it might be a spin-off of the Grimm's fairy tale. I'll look it up and put the name, what it is there. But that's interesting, and I probably would not have picked this up on my own, so I'm excited to read this one. They also picked out Unearthly by Cynthia Hand, and this one was marked YA as well. When Clara Gardner learns she's part angel, her entire life changes. She now has a purpose, a specific task she was put on this earth to accomplish, except she doesn't know what it is. Oh man, haven't we all been there? Or maybe just me, not sure what our purpose is. Her visions of a raging forest fire and a mysterious boy lead her to a new high school in a new town, but provide no clear instruction. As Clara tries to find her way in a world she no longer understands, she encounters unseen dangers and choices she never thought she'd have to make. Between the boy in her vision and the boy in her life, between honesty and deceit, love and duty, good and evil, when the fire from her vision fully ignites, will Clara be ready to face her destiny? And then Ayesha at Last, a novel by Uzma, Jalaluddin. I probably butchered that name. I'm sorry. As somebody else who has like a kind of hard to pronounce name, my name is pronounced phonetically, but I mean, I get some random things with my name, so I'm sorry about that I messed it up. I probably messed it up, the pronunciation. This one says, though, a modern day Muslim Pride and Prejudice for a new generation of love. So Ayesha has a lot going on. Her dreams of being a poet. Oh, the sticker's right over it, so let's paraphrase. Her dreams of being a poet have, it looks like, been set aside for a teaching job so she can pay off her debts to her wealthy uncle. She lives with her boisterous Muslim family, always reminded something flight her younger cousin. Her younger cousin is close to rejecting her 100th marriage proposal, maybe. Though Ayesha is lonely, she doesn't want an arranged marriage. Or maybe it's Ayesha that's rejecting the proposals. Then she meets Khalid, who is just as smart and handsome as he is conservative and judgmental. She is irritatingly attracted to someone who looks down on her choices and dresses like he belongs in the 7th century. When a surprise engagement is announced between Khalid and Hafsa, that's the younger cousin, Ayesha is torn between how she feels about the straightforward Khalid and the unsettling new gossip she hears about his family. Looking into the rumors, she finds she has to deal with not only what she discovers about Khalid, but also the truth she realizes about herself. So I actually read Pride and Prejudice last year. I was just dipping my toe into reading classics since like high school days, and Pride and Prejudice was surprisingly funny to me. I really liked that book. I did read a couple of like what do you call them, adaptations, retellings, you know the word, maybe you know the word, let me know, because I don't know the word, but do you know what I mean? Anyways, I read a couple of those, but I didn't pick this one up. So this seems really interesting too. I really loved the dad in Pride and Prejudice. Just a side note, I just thought he was so funny when he tells the mom is like, don't you care about my nerves or something like that? And the dad is like, I'm well acquainted with your nerves. Like, yeah. Anyways, let's get to the last book, In Good Company by Jen Turano. And this little sticker here, these are my libraries have. I don't know if every library has this, but this is like a Christian fiction sticker they put on it, and then the book is marked historical fiction. So after growing up as an orphan, Millie Longfellow is determined to become the best nanny the East Coast has ever seen. Unfortunately, her playfulness and enthusiasm aren't always well received, and she finds herself dismissed from yet another position. Everett Mulberry has quite unexpectedly become guardian to 3 children that scare off every nanny he hires. About to depart for Newport, Rhode Island for the summer, he's desperate for competent childcare. At wit's end with both Millie and Everett, the employment agency gives them one last chance with each other. As Millie falls in love with her mischievous charges, Everett focuses on achieving the coveted social status of the upper echelons. I'm not sure if that's the right word. But as he investigates the suspicious circumstances surrounding the death of the children's parents, will it take the loss of those he loves to learn whose company he truly wants for the rest of his life? So interesting as well. I'm not sure which book we'll start with, but let's get these home. I'll pick a book and we'll get going and see how many we can get through before these books are due. Okay, the heater's on, kids are in the background, I haven't put my makeup on, all the things, but I wanted to pop on because I finished this in a day. I didn't mean to. I mean, I did mean to because I did it, but I didn't set out to say I was going to read this in a day. So what happened was we had a lazy day at home, and we were just kind of resting and relaxing, and that's when I picked up this book, and I got so far into it throughout the day. I did put it down a couple of times throughout the day, and you know, did mom stuff and things, but I ended up picking it back up throughout the day. And the deeper that I got into the story, by the time the evening rolled around, I was like, you know what, I think I was like a third at least maybe of the way through, and I was like, I'm gonna have to finish this today. I'm just gonna have to. So I stayed up and I finished reading it. This book was so good. It's actually part, I didn't realize when I looked at it that it is part right now of a duology. I don't know if she has plans to make any more after this, but right now it's part of a duology. I'm so happy because my library has the second part of this book in there. But let me tell you a little bit about this one. So I did read you the kind of glossed over the synopsis already. It was really good. I would give this one easily 4.5, maybe 4 3/4. The only reason I would not give it a 5-star is because I feel like maybe with 5 stars with me, it's a book where I'm like, oh, you have to go and buy this, you have to read it. And this book was a really good book, but I could see if fantasy was kind of not your thing, that maybe this wouldn't be a book you enjoyed. This book was a clean book, so sorry, it is a library book, so it's got that lovely sheen on it. But there is a lot that happens in this story, and it just keeps you very engaged. I really love the way Elizabeth Lim writes. She has also written a couple of books in the Twisted Tales series, the Disney Twisted Tales series. So she wrote from the Twisted series. So This Is Love, that's a twist on Cinderella, and then Reflection which was a twist on Mulan. I read that one. I remember that one. That one was pretty good. And then she also wrote When You Wish Upon a Star, and I think it's a twist on Pinocchio. I've not seen that book, so I can't speak on it. I didn't even know they had that. But anyways, back to this one. So I think it's kind of a play on the Six Swans folktale, or I believe there's, I don't know that one exactly, but this one follows along with the sister and her 6 brothers. And so in the story, the stepmom finds out that the sister, the princess, has magic. The princess doesn't know this until later on in life. She doesn't realize why some things happen the way they do and how she made it happen. Magic has been outlawed in the city they're in. And so it kind of takes off from there. The stepmom figures out she has it, and you kind of go through and trying to figure out what the stepmom has against her, the princess, where all this turmoil is coming from. It ends up, the stepmom turns the brothers into cranes, and the sister has to try to save them, but she's not able to speak. So like I said, there are things that happen just throughout the book. It is exciting. It is adventurous. There's like, it's never really a dull moment. There are quieter moments that are happening because there is a small romance in here, which is really sweet and endearing, but it's kind of a back story. It's kind of in the background of the story, and it just keeps your attention the whole time through. So if you're dipping your toes into fantasy, I would definitely recommend this book. This is the first one, 6 Crimson Cranes, and again by Elizabeth Lim. Her second one is called The Dragon's Promise, and like I said, I want to pick that up, but I'm trying to read what I have checked out right now. So I think the librarian did such an excellent job on this. I wish I knew which librarian does it, because we have several at our library, but so good. Really enjoyed this book. So we have just like housekeeping and homeschooling things to get done today, so I'm not going to pick up the next book until I have a minute to sit down and actually start reading it, because there's nothing worse than picking up a book and like getting to read 2 pages and having to put it down and then being like, oh, I can't get back to it. So we're going to do some housekeeping, like I said, housekeeping stuff, homekeeping things. We are just coming off of a birthday weekend, so lots of exciting fun things, which is why we were able to have a slower weekend day. We were kind of recuperating from our birthday fun. But yeah, I will see you the next time I see you with the next book. I never ended up putting makeup on today. That's okay. We were just doing housekeeping, homework, that kind of stuff here. But it is like a little after 3. You saw I just made some tea. I'm going to sit outside because it is really sunny today, which is so nice, but it's also really cold. I think it's like 17 degrees right now. So I'm gonna sit in the sun before the sun is gone, see if I can't read a page or two. Look at all these baby hairs. And take my tea and see if it'll keep me warm out there for a little while. I may only last like a minute and come back in, but I really want to get some sun on my face. And then I asked my kids, but none of them want to try to bear the cold. So you're on your own, Mom. So they're hanging out in the warm upstairs, and then, yeah, we'll see how long we last out there. Okay, I have dinner in the slow cooker, and there's probably a million more things that I can do besides sitting down, like more laundry, but I did start a load, so that kind of counts, maybe. But I could separate the rest and get it organized and ready to continue on with it. There's some clean clothes sitting next to me that I could probably put away. I could reorganize my master bath because I've been meaning to do that for a long, long time. I could probably do something with my hair before my husband comes home in a couple of hours. A million things I could do, but I'm gonna sit down, let my kiddos watch some TV, and read a little bit more of this. I need a better bookmark, but this is, I don't know, which is a better way to show you how much I've gotten through. My daughter's next to me, so I'm looking her way. I bought her some scrunchies, and I'm using the tag from that as my bookmark. It's what was available. So anyways, I'm gonna read for a little bit, like I said, until it's time for dinner. It's like almost 4 o'clock. I'm glad that I have dinner in the slow cooker. I hope the potatoes cook in time, but you're not here for that. So I'm gonna start chapter 9. So far, we have the very Mr. Darcy-esque character, except he is a little bit more understandable. Khalid is who I'm thinking is the Mr. Darcy character in here. We hear his side of the story too, so it's from different perspectives, different point of views, and so I think that's what makes him so a little bit more understandable than Mr. Darcy was maybe when you're reading Pride and Prejudice, because we don't really get his view right away, I don't think. So that's about it. Ayesha and Khalid have met, but they don't really, there's some misunderstandings going on between them, which is always happening in these types of books, right? I've gotten to the point where they have mistaken Ayesha, the main character in here, for her cousin in front of Khalid. So let's keep going. I'm gonna read, maybe I can get through like 2 or 3 more chapters, maybe, but we'll see. So her cousin she's being mistaken for just texted her and was like, can you just cover for me and keep pretending to be me? And that's where my shock was from. Like, what? What adult person? No, I cannot do that. But I guess such is the books that I read, right? She's gonna go along with it. And she's acting semi-ditzy. Okay, I need to make dinner, but I wanted to pop on because I just finished reading this book, Ayesha at Last. This book, I was struggling a bit in the beginning. It was kind of slow for me. We could clearly pick out who was Darcy and Elizabeth in the story, and then things got kind of muddy about the whole Pride and Prejudice. Like, there were a lot of other things happening in there, and then There are 48 chapters in here, so it was probably like midway through the book when things started picking up even more, and there was a lot happening. So it was kind of, you had to keep up with it and what was happening, and there's just a lot that happens in this book. There's extras that didn't really see the tie-in with Pride and Prejudice. But the end of the book gets very, very exciting. I had to finish it before I made dinner because it got very exciting and you just wanted to know what was going to happen. You had an idea that things were going to work out the way they should work out, I guess, because of reading Pride and Prejudice. I'm trying not to give too much away, but at the same token, I was like, okay. Clearly it frustrated me, or maybe not clearly, the lying and the being okay with the lying about her identity and this whole mistaken identity in here, and that was irksome because, I mean, you can see where it's going to go. You know that it's going to be a big issue in the book, but I just felt like these two women were adults, and why were we doing this? So there was that. But if that's your thing and you like it, then this may be the book for you. This book was okay. I liked some parts of it, and like I said, towards the end, things got very, very exciting in here, but it was just a meh book for me. So I'd probably say, and I don't want to be mean when I say this, but like maybe 2.5, 3 stars. It was okay. I think the librarian did a much better job on the first book I picked. So I'll pick out my next book maybe after dinner. Let you know what I pick. Okay, it's been a few days, and I finished the last 2 books on the list. As you saw, the next book I picked out was In Good Company by Jen Turano. This one was a slow start for me. I picked it up and I had read a book in between that was an ebook in between that was not on the list, and I thought it was going to be similar to that. I read an Amish cookie club, I believe it is. I'll put the cover up for you here, but it ended up, I thought the story plot was going to become somewhat similar, but this book was so endearing. When I finished it, I was just so happy, all the good feelings. There's a lot that happens towards the end of the book. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a surprise little I guess mystery that's woven in between the story here. This book, if you don't remember from the beginning of the video, is about Millie Longfellow. She's a nanny, but she keeps getting fired. And then there is Everett Mulberry, who unexpectedly becomes a guardian to 3 children and can't seem to keep a nanny. Now, these two, as we find out in the story, actually have met before, and he does not want her to be his nanny, and she does not want to be his nanny, even though they're both in these kind of situations that could benefit each other. So you'll figure out, as if you pick up the book, which I hope you do, you figure out how their stories keep getting intertwined and what eventually happens, and then the surprise mystery in there. But I will say that I loved Millie's quirkiness, and I loved Everett, the way that his heart kind of softened and changed, and he figured out who he was. At times, I will say he was very frustrating. He even compares himself to a Mr. Darcy character, and so there was a bit of that in there where he's frustrating, but all in all, like I said, this book was really good. I think I give it 4.75 stars. I really liked this book. If you're looking for a kind of happily ever after type of story, someone's coming by, so I don't know if the background noise picked that up. Anyways, if you're looking for a kind of a happily ever after feel good book, I would pick this up. It's got lots of fun stuff in it too. This was a great read. The last book that I read was Unearthly. This is about a girl who's in high school, and she finds out that she is a quarter angel. So her mom is half angel, and that makes her a quarter. And she is going through and finding out her purpose. This book was okay. It was pretty good. It is part of a series, so you definitely need to pick up the next one. I don't know that I will. It's the series, I guess it's called Unearthly. I'm not sure if I'll pick up the next one because it just kind of left on such a cliffhanger. This was very much a very first book in a series type thing. Not, yes, you could read it on standalone, but you won't get very many answers if you're looking for answers, if you're looking for conclusions. There's not much in here. It leaves you with a lot more questions than answers, and so that was kind of frustrating for me. I do want to continue when I read series. I do want to continue on in their world and stuff, but I do want to feel like the story somewhat ended. And this one, I don't know, I didn't feel like it tied itself up. I feel like I was left with more questions than answers. So we follow her. This is Clara. Clara is the main character, and she is finding out her purpose. She does, eventually she keeps having these visions of what her purpose is, and the vision happens, but like I said, it leaves more questions to what is happening there. There are other characters, I think, as the series continues that we will find out more about and their stories. So I think it could be worthwhile a dive into, but I don't think this is one series that I'm going to dive into right now. It may be one that I pick up at a later time, but I'm much more interested in finishing a couple of other series that I started. I enjoyed most of the books. I did struggle a little bit with Ayesha at last. I know I did pick up the second book to this 6 Crimson Cranes, and I finished that. All in all, I think the librarian did a great job with the information that I give her and the books that they picked out. So I really enjoy that that's an option at our library. I don't know, like I said, which librarian does it. Maybe I'll go in and ask one day, or maybe not. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that maybe you found a few good reads that you could poke around your library and find and maybe read. Let me know if there's any good reads that you want to recommend to me. I always love to add on to my never-ending TBR list. But that's going to do it again for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and reading through some books. I really appreciate you being here. And in case you don't know, or you just need to be reminded, may you please be the one to tell you that you are deeply and truly loved and so appreciated. Truly, I appreciate you taking your time out and spending it here with me. Thanks for watching.